Title: The Robotic Zoo Adventure. The Robotic Zoo opens, once upon a time, in the heart of a futuristic city. A new kind of zoo had just opened its gates. But this wasn't an ordinary zoo. Instead of real animals, it featured robotic creatures made entirely of metal and circuits. The zoo buzzed with excitement as visitors of all ages poured in to see the robotic wonders. The entrance was grand, with shiny silver gates decorated with glowing lights and gears that moved rhythmically. The sign above read, "Welcome to the Robotic Zoo." Inside, there were animals of all kinds: robotic elephants, giraffes, birds, and even a giant metal whale that floated above the crowd. People gasped and pointed in amazement as the robotic animals moved gracefully, their joints clicking softly and lights glowing in various colors. A curious boy and a robotic lion. Among the visitors was a young boy named Max, who couldn't wait to explore the zoo. Max loved animals, and even though these were robots, he was fascinated by their lifelike movements and behaviors. As he wandered through the different enclosures, Max came upon a large metallic lion. The lion's body was covered in smooth, golden metal plates, and its eyes were bright, glowing green. It looked both majestic and gentle at the same time. The lion walked around its enclosure, letting out a low, mechanical roar every now and then. "Wow," Max whispered. He stepped closer to the glass, pressing his face against it. The lion seemed to notice Max and padded over, sitting down just a few feet away. It tilted its head, as if curious about the small human staring up at it. "Hi there," Max said softly. "You're the coolest robot I've ever seen." Scene 3. Becoming friends. Max visited the lion's enclosure every day that week. Each time, the lion seemed happier to see him. It would come closer, showing off its glowing tail or making playful movements with its paws. Max noticed that the lion wasn't like the other robotic animals. It seemed different, almost like it had its own thoughts and feelings. One day, Max gathered his courage and spoke to the zookeeper, a kind woman named Dr. Vega. "Excuse me, Dr. Vega," he said, "why does the lion act so differently from the other robots?" Dr. Vega smiled. That's because Leo, our robotic lion, was designed to be unique. He was programmed with special circuits that allow him to learn and adapt, just like a real animal. But sometimes, I think Leo feels a little trapped." Max frowned. "Trapped? Why? He's in an enclosure like all the other animals," Dr. Vega explained gently. "But Leo was meant to explore, to see the world beyond these walls. He dreams of being wild and free, just like a real lion." Scene 4. An adventure. After hours. That night, after the zoo had closed and everyone had gone home, Max sneaked back inside. He knew it was against the rules, but he couldn't stop thinking about Leo. Max tiptoed through the empty zoo until he reached the lion's enclosure. "Leo," Max whispered through the glass. "Do you want to come out?" Leo looked at Max, his eyes glowing a little brighter. With a soft hiss, the door to the enclosure slid open. Max held his breath as Leo stepped out, his metallic paws clicking softly against the ground. "Let's go for a walk," Max suggested. Leo's tail twitched in excitement, and together, they quietly made their way out of the zoo and into the city. The streets were quiet and empty, and the bright lights of the buildings reflected off Leo's shiny coat. For the first time, Leo roamed freely, exploring every corner of the city. jumping gracefully across rooftops and dashing through alleyways. Max laughed as he ran alongside Leo, feeling like they were on the greatest adventure of their lives. Scene 5. Leo's wild roar. As dawn approached, Max and Leo found themselves on a high hill overlooking the city. The view was breathtaking, with the entire skyline spread out before them. Leo turned to Max and let out a deep, mechanical roar, a sound that seemed to echo with joy and longing all at once. Max sat down beside the giant lion, resting a hand on its metallic shoulder. "I wish you could be wild and free forever, Leo." Leo nuzzled Max gently, his circuits humming softly. Then, with one final roar, Leo turned and started running, faster and faster, until he was just a golden blur against the morning sky. Max watched as Leo leapt across the rooftops and disappeared into the distance. Tears welled up in Max's eyes, but he smiled. "Goodbye, Leo. I hope you find your freedom." The scene should evoke emotions of farewell and freedom, with the warm colors of the sunrise adding to the atmosphere. A new beginning. A few days later, Max returned to the zoo, expecting to find Leo back in his enclosure. But it was empty. Dr. Vega approached Max with a gentle smile. Leo found his way out of the city and into the wilderness. "He's free now, Max." Max's heart swelled with a mix of happiness and sadness. He knew he'd miss his robotic friend, but he also knew that Leo was where he belonged, out in the world, exploring and being truly wild. Dr. Vega handed Max a small, glowing token. "This is a piece of Leo's old circuits," she said. "He wanted you to have it, to remember him." Max took the token and held it close. "I'll never forget him." And as Max walked away, he imagined Leo, running free across the hills and through the forests, wild and free, just like he always dreamed. Enter your text here to convert text to speech now.